Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Julie. Thanks everybody for jumping on. It is Monday, November 12th, top of the hour, 7 o'clock here Central Time, PM. And as usual, we do this call once a week just to let everybody know what's going on in the Life Vantage Nation. If you're a guest on this call, welcome. My name is Mark. My wife and I, Krista and Mark Harris, live in Kansas City, Missouri. And we are Christian missionaries by trade. We came back to the States about 10 years ago after the economic downturn, the housing market collapsed. And to make a long story short, I got a phone call when I was working 2 jobs, realizing that the old industrial age idea of punching a time clock for 40 hours a week and doing that for the next 40 years wasn't working for either me or very few people around me. I got a phone call from a very dear, trusted family friend, my mother-in-law. And for those of you that don't know Jackie Sheppard, you are in for a treat. I am doubly blessed. I not only got the brains and the beauty of the Harris family operation in her daughter, I found out our meeting was actually, I met Jackie first. I was teaching at a small Christian high school, private high school in East Atlanta. And I had been wrangled into that position as a recovering knucklehead, and desperately needing some curriculum and how in the world do you teach these young, some students that were smarter than me and some that needed a lot of love. And I found out the school administrator was recovering from cancer in Hawaii. And the administrator, or the founder, was recovering in Hawaii. And the administrator suggested I call this lady, this mythical lady, legendary Jackie Sheppard. And I did. She was gracious. She said, Mark, don't sweat it. Here's what you need to do to teach your freshmen. These are the books, you'll find it in this storage cabinet. Told me where to go to look. And by the time I started first day of class, I had all 6 classes ready to go with lesson plans. She said, no, I'll be there in 2 weeks. I'm speaking at chapel, and we can work out the rest when I get there. So hang on until I get there. And that started a fantastic friendship that included me marrying into the family as well. So I'm going to brag on my mother-in-law just a little bit. She didn't only start this high school. She comes from many, many years in Christian ministry. She and her husband, my father-in-law, Glenn, founded an amazing nonprofit ministry called International Prayer Ministries that actually sounds a little more esoteric than they are. They're very practical in their application of the gospel. They work with women at risk in northern Thailand, working with a local pastor there who actually rescues about 100 girls at a time out of prostitution. And also with Christian education, children's education in Nepal as well. Lots of incredible stuff around the world. You may know her as an author. She's written a book called Silent Takeover, How the Body Hijacks the Mind. If you don't have a copy of this, may I suggest that as soon as this call is over, you go straight to Amazon or JackieSheppard.com. Is it Jackie or Jacqueline, Mom Jackie? You're muted. You may need to unmute.
It's Jacqueline.
JacquelineSheppard.com or Amazon is where you can buy Silent Takeover. And I've read that book 3 times now, and it's exceptional. Her background, her discipline is neurological disorders, behavioral delays, learning dysfunction. Out of her practical experience in the classroom, now having applied that as a Christian counselor, and her list of clients is long and somewhat distinguished and undistinguished. There's a lot of recovering knuckleheads in Mom Jackie's wake, and we owe her a great debt of gratitude. So, Mom Jackie, I would love to just bring you on. Thank you so much for making the time. I know you're recovering from foot surgery, and I know this is one of the busiest. I call her my Energizer Bunny mother-in-law because she never sits still. And sometimes we have to make her do that. But just so folks get a chance to meet you, tell us a little bit of your story. And as an author, as a public speaker, as a public figure, how in the world you got wrangled into a network marketing business, and why in the world you would dedicate time that you did not have to building a Life Vantage business. Why? How did that happen? And we'll go from there. Mom Jackie.
Mark, before we get started, I can only get 4 little tiny pictures up here. I had everything in full view and then it disappeared on me.
Okay.
So can you keep talking long enough for me to get off and hop back on?
Sure, I can.
I'm going to do that and see if I can get this.
Check your speaker view first. That there's a little icon in the top right corner of your window that looks like a telephone pad, the keypad on a telephone. Click that and see if you can click that speaker view.
That got bigger. Let's see if I keep clicking it. Will it get bigger?
And I owe Mom Jackie an apology. Those of you that received an email reminder about this call, I'm afraid I did her a little disservice. I called her my 79-year-old mother-in-law, 79-year-old grandmother to my kids, and she's only 75. So to be fair, I have to apologize for that. I'm calling it a typo. I just had a mental lapse there, Mom Jackie. Were you able to get that?
I think so. Let's see. Are you guys seeing me or just Mark? I think you're just seeing Mark, and I'm still in a tiny picture, which is all right with me if you all can see me. But no, I'm in a still now. I'm going to have to hop off, Mark. I'm so sorry. It's just.
No, that's okay.
I'll hop off and I'll get back on as soon as possible.
All right. Well, there you go. The marvels of modern technology. So with that, let me make some announcements real quick while we're waiting for Mom Jackie to get back on. We just came off the back of what was one of the best, if not the best. And, you know, it's always hard to quantify or qualify, I guess, these events. But our global convention in Salt Lake City was just a matter of weeks ago. And maybe it wasn't the best for you. Was one of the best for me, but certainly it was perfect and timely. And man, there's lots of stuff going on. You know, it's one thing when you see rank advancements at the Pro 2, Pro 3, Pro 4 level. When you see new elites coming and in dozens, Pro 7, Pro 8, Pro 9, that's pretty significant. And for me, it was a huge boost of encouragement of where the company is going. If you own stock, LFVN, publicly traded stock on the NASDAQ, that's our publicly traded stock with LifeVantage. You already know what's happening unless you're living under a rock or you don't get stock reports. It's just booming right now. I'm not a stockbroker. I suggest if you're interested in playing the stock market, you talk to a professional about your financial investments. However, I know this. If you could go back in time to 1970 something and get you a piece of that Apple stock when it was trading at what ours is trading for. Yeah, you might want to take a serious look at that, because I believe, and all the indicators indicate, thank you for that redundancy, everything we're looking at indicates that pockets of momentum are expanding. Teams are growing and experiencing personal momentum. And when sufficient number of individuals and teams experience that momentum, that's when the company lifts into momentum. And you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines with one cane pole in the water when that happens. You want lots of poles in the water, lots of big nets. And I'm mixing metaphors now when that wave hits. And I believe I think it's impending. I think it's forthcoming. And just when you look at the growth in numbers, you look at the growth in stock, look at what happened in October, for crying out loud. Holy smokes. And we'll talk about the hair care launch in just a little bit, but just a limited production batch of our new hair care line. There was about 6,500 units, give or take, that were released and available to us in Salt Lake City. Completely sold out. And those of us that have team members that bought into that and are excited about the hair care launch, our numbers are just exploding. Man, I wish we still had that stuff in November. I'm a little bit bummed that we have to wait until December 11th for the launch of that hair care, because it's funny, and I may ask Mom Jackie about this when she jumps back on.
I'm on. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you. Welcome back. So,
I
do
just
tell us.
sent Chris a message.
So do tell us your story, Mom Jackie. Why in the world you've done this crazy thing that you've done? Thank you, by the way. I owe you an eternal debt of gratitude. Otherwise, I'd still be wearing this orange apron every day that I keep in my office as a souvenir. So that's my first question. And since I'm segueing out of the hair care launch, explain, if you can, the phenomenon that people will not listen to you to extend their life by 7%, but they will lose their minds if they can have silkier, shinier hair. Answer that one too for me, if you will, after you tell a little bit of your story. I'm going to kick it over to you.
Okay, all right. Well, Mark, it was when you've had 45 years of research, and you know about free radicals. If you've known about free radicals since the early 80s, long before most of you were even born, probably, and you knew that they were the cause of disease because a brilliant doctor researcher found out just when the initial information was being released, and he told you about it, and you had studied free radicals for 45 years. You had books in your library this thick, and you knew there was not anything that was successfully lowering them. And then out of the blue, you see a 9-minute video that shows a blood test that says in 30 days you can drop free radicals an average of 40%, and the results get better in 120 days. It's an average of 70%. It was simply a no-brainer. So I enrolled because I immediately thought, okay, I want to get this at cost. I'm a pretty much very frugal person. And I know I'm going to recommend this to my friends and family, and I don't want to make any money off of them. So this way I can order for them at cost. When people have said, what were your goals? What was your why? My why was simple. I wanted to get it as cheap as possible for me and my friends. However, I was so unprepared for what happened, the extraordinary results with my low back pain that was debilitating me. And then, of course, some of you know my story. I had short-term memory loss, and it was getting significantly worse. So when my memory improved, and I really, the only way I know to say it is I got my brain back, I felt I had a moral responsibility. So the fact that it was network marketing was icing on the cake. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't have some pushback. I had a lot of pushback. I had friends who were like, what on earth are you doing, Jackie Sheppard, in a network marketing company? And then they were like, I can't believe you'd be involved in one of those pyramid schemes. And then others were saying, so you're going to leave your ministry and start selling products? So to all of those, I had to come up with what was I going to say? And I finally came up with an answer, sorry, that was as close to the truth as I know it even today. I simply said, I've made a commitment to follow the Lamb wherever he goes, and as best I can understand what he wants me to do. And that's simply what I did the first few months, 6 months, a year. I had to look beyond the pushback because I knew I had the science to prove what I was saying. I knew the product worked. And the more I found out about the company, the more impressed I was. And so one of the things that did help, Mark, was when I simply said, well, this is a publicly traded company on NASDAQ. The science is published on PubMed.gov. Now, trust me, most of them had no clue what PubMed.gov was at that time, but it gave it a little credibility. And I'm so glad that I didn't get all caught up in the fact that this is multi-level marketing, this is network marketing. I'm so thrilled it is because we can keep the prices low. I'm helping to support hundreds of people who are doing great things around the world by building small businesses under them. So yeah, I don't think there's a better way to do business than network marketing.
You caught me with my line muted. Well,
Okay.
now as an informed entrepreneur, I tend to agree with you. And I do not begrudge you the 2% that you make off my monthly orders as a network marketing enroller. And I think back how different life could have been, Mom Jackie, if we hadn't had that first conversation. And I don't know, maybe you just felt sorry for us because we were borrowing money from you guys every month. But it's just been such a blessing to be able to work with family and friends that we admire. Talk, if you will, from your education and educational background, your counseling background, what you know about neurological function and dysfunction. If you will just take a moment to comment on the efficacy of the product. I know you just did that, but talk about the evolution of the LifeVantage product line, where you see this going, the necessity of the Vitality Stack, and all of the products that LifeVantage is bringing to the table, and what has you most excited about those?
Wow. Now, Mark, if you ask me a question, I give you an encyclopedia. So it'll be a little hard to answer that briefly. Let me clear up something first. I didn't feel sorry for you guys at all. I admired the fact that you'd gone to work at Home Depot because you'd come home from the mission field with debt. And you had this beautiful young family to support. Krista was tutoring. You were working at Home Depot. You guys were doing the best you could, but it just cost a lot to live. It cost a lot to raise 3 children. I actually had you all over that morning because the wonderful Seth Campbell had asked me about having a meeting, and I didn't want to disappoint the young man because he's so nice and such a fine young man. I thought, oh, okay, he thinks I should have a meeting. Who can I invite? And I thought, oh, I'll invite Mark and Krista. So the reason I would not answer my phone after I invited you that morning was I didn't want my daughter saying, Mom, have you lost your mind? Because you all had good reason to suspect that I was losing my mind. What I found, the thing that really, though, made me recognize that this was the only pill of its kind in the world was as I began looking into the science, realizing that it upregulated glutathione. 2011, Dr. Martha Herbert said, who's probably the leading doctor, scientist in the United States in this field, she's at Harvard, said that she's convinced that low production of glutathione is the link to ADD, ADHD, and autism. So by that time, I didn't know that much, but I had figured out, okay, the reason that they are getting better has to be that their bodies are making more glutathione. So understanding this, when we found out that Protandim was not an antioxidant, but instead it was an NRF2 cell activator, not a cell activator, an activator. And at that point, that's whatever that means, but I trust Oxford University's research. And when they said that this pathway was the key to health and longevity, I knew even more that we had the most important pill in the world, because this particular pathway signals it upregulates survival genes, and it signals, using this protein transcription factor, signals the body to increase production of the 3 most important enzymes our body makes. You just about have to get better if your body is doing what it's designed to do. So recognizing that, I could, with confidence, with integrity, speak to people with the understanding we can change your life, potentially. But then Mark, too, with the lotion, with the True Science line. Now, I've never been a fixie woman who spent a lot of money on makeup and skincare products. And I have very sensitive skin. I was convinced I couldn't use it. I started using it, and in a very brief time, when I returned to Georgia, my friends were saying, "What are you doing to your skin?" And I began to see the difference myself in the mirror. So armed with those two products, I thought I had the best of what LifeVantage could develop, but that was the big surprise. And I kind of went kicking and screaming into, we don't need any more products. We're happy just these two things, this incredible lotion, this incredible pill. But, you know, everything just has added to a better quality of life for us, and actually for our pets, because the next product was Pet Tandem. And some of you've heard some of my animal stories. You've been on YouTube. It works. So if you love your best friend, make sure your best friend has low oxidative stress, that your best friend can feel better every day. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, we don't need anything else. And then we get Axio. And I'm thinking, what do we need with an energy drink? I have plenty of energy. Yeah, we need something that maybe will keep people from giving the kids those horrible Gatorades, Powerades, those drinks that are filled with things that are not really as good for them as we'd want them to be. But when Axio came along, and I had already by this time found out the dangers of Red Bull and Monster drinks. A few years ago, I was lecturing in Cartersville, Georgia, and they had just buried a 14-year-old cardiac arrest from drinking Red Bull. So I was like, okay, I'm on the Axio bandwagon. And it's a to-go-to. The quercetin in it is coming out to be one of the most promising nutraceuticals we have for so many things, not to mention L-theanine for the brain, but and the pine bark extract, which is so good for the heart, rebuilding the heart muscle. So yeah, I thought, okay, we've got it now. But then our weight management products came along, and I was actually one of the people invited to talk about why we didn't think we should have a weight management product. Because I thought, how in the world can our company come up with something new? Because, you know, we have a mandate at LifeVantage. We don't create anything that's already on the market. And so that's what happened. Those of us in the room, there were probably 20 of us, we were telling them why we were not going to represent it unless it hit a certain quality criterion. And that's what happened. When it was released and we saw the ingredients and we saw the science just in talking to each other, we were like, wow, this is wonderful, because we could put our credibility behind it. I was thrilled when I saw that the basis of it was changing the gut, because I'd been doing research and I knew that we now know that those skinny bean people who can eat all they want to eat and not get fat have a different gut flora from those of us who struggle with weight gain. So yeah, so changing the gut flora can change your weight, and it can cause you to keep that weight off. So here we are. I'm loving all those products. I'm loving the protein shake. I'm thinking, I'm telling people with confidence, this is healthy for you. It's not a fad diet. This is something that's beneficial. And then we get NRF1. And when it came out, I thought, you mean we can recharge, in essence, our mitochondria? For those of you who don't know much about mitochondria, if you'll look at it as the battery in your cells, your cell can only perform to the level of efficiency of your mitochondria. As you age, you decline in production of mitochondria. So getting old is bad enough, but when you add computers, cell phones, electricity, then you are not only having declining mitochondria, you are having mitochondria that's not efficient. It's weak, it's powerless. We have children being born, they've been in wombs that were overexposed to electromagnetic fields. Mothers hand them their cell phones to play with. Children are getting on iPads and computers at such young ages. Unfortunately, and you can quote me, many schools use computers all day long for their students, thinking they're going to give them an edge in their education. Actually, they're causing that child's mitochondria to be less efficient. The child will be tired, lethargic, and their brains won't be as sharp because that mitochondria is doing its best. So Nerf 1 is so important, especially if you're on cell phones, computers, microwaves, or if you're like me, simply getting older. So here we are. We've got all these wonderful new skincare products that had been added to the line with all these amazing products. And since we're publicly traded, we may get a hint of what's coming down the track. But we don't know what it is until the press release, because if they told us ahead of time, it'd be inside trading. And so they don't tell us, we just get little hints. I couldn't wait when I found out it was a hair care product and that there might be a potential to increase or to, let's say, coax the body into growing more hair or making that hair especially healthier. I just couldn't wait to try it myself. And then I couldn't wait to hear what people were saying, and everybody loves it. Now, Mark, I am concerned about one thing. I am concerned that when it comes to cost, people may decide, I'd rather have beautiful hair than good health. And they'll order the hair care instead of their Protandem, their Vitality Stack. And that is a very bad idea if that's what you're thinking. Let's make enough money for you to order everything every month from LifeVantage you want and you need. Please don't stop taking your important health products just because you want your hair to be full and lush and beautiful. So, Mark, what did I leave out?
Well, I think that's pretty thorough, and you did that in a little less than 15 minutes, so that's impressive because there's a lot to talk about there. Before we wrap up the call, I do want to shift over because we've got mostly distributors on the call tonight, and I want it to be of benefit not only from the science and products perspective, but also the business. You have done something that very few people have ever done, regardless of their age, hitting Elite Pro 8 and doing it in your 70s. What's your secret? And what would you say if you were to characterize the difference between you and 95% or 98% of people on the planet, or people in LifeVantage even, that join the business? They like the products, but they don't, for whatever reason, they don't share the information with other people. How would you encourage them, and what would you say the difference is between your activity and maybe that hypothetical person that just doesn't have any success, or they don't know what to do?
I didn't have any confidence in myself, Mark, but I did have confidence in the products. And so I was very specific in calling some of the people that I'm closest friends to, because they were all having health problems and they were a lot younger than I am. And so I just simply called them and said, watch this video. I had no idea what was going to happen. In fact, some of you heard me say I was a Pro 5 before I understood the compensation plan, because I did not expect to be successful. I remember thinking, well, maybe I could make $20 a month and that would pay for half of a bottle, and I needed a bottle for Glenn and me, and I wanted to use that amazing anti-aging lotion. And so what I did, though, was because I enrolled, the first 3 people that I enrolled were people that are the closest to me. You and Krista, Charlotte and Joe, Cherie and Ken. And then I enrolled another one of my friends that has not, she's a very close friend, but has not really done anything with it. And it was important for me to help you all get your investment back. So the main thing I did at the beginning was I tried to get the three of you. We did videos, we contacted people to see if we could get your investment back. I think it's real important if you have the time to call someone and enroll them in LifeVantage, be consistent on helping them get their money back. Now, of course, you got a big box of stuff, which is wonderful. But you don't ever want one of your friends to say, well, they got me involved in that network marketing company and I lost $600 or $1,200. Of course, they wouldn't lose it. They got the products, more than they paid for. But you just don't want that. So first thing I did was I helped 3 people that I enrolled get their enrollment back. And how did we do that? By helping them enroll 3 people. It took 3 people at the time. Basically, it's a little bit different now to get the investment back. Then Seth had told me, now, Jackie, you need to have 200 in personal volume. That's your order, plus some customers equaling 200 in points, in essence. And everyone in your downline needs to do that too. That way you're going to make the most income. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, now that you've enrolled, you need 200 in personal volume. We worked to get everybody in 200 in personal volume. And that began to set a style of leadership where the people who enrolled a person tried to make sure that they hung in there like a helicopter till that person had their investment back, until they had 200 in personal volume. And then the other thing I did, and I think for the most part, this is where the most failure comes if you're not successful. You need to have meetings. Now, in truth, nobody came to my meetings. I think they were more like, I talked to Jackie a few months ago, and she was having some memory problems, and now she's really gone off the rocker. She's inviting me to these come to her house, and I hear it's something about some magic pill. And so they didn't come to my meetings. Of course, it was dead winter. That didn't matter. The people that I was compassionate about, I went to them. And I was like, listen, what you do with this information is up to you, but I want you to understand how this product is, what it does in your body. And that's all I did. So I would say the difference is compassion. I think your compassion and your caring for people it will help you overcome fear. If you see a child in the street, more than likely your compassion and your caring is going to cause you to get over your fear of running out in the street. You're going to try to go grab the child. You may even risk your life. So don't let fear hold you back from changing the life of someone you love or even a stranger. So that's pretty much it, Mark. We continue doing that pattern as much as we possibly can.
Well, I know we're just past the bottom of the hour, and I don't want to keep you. And thank you so much for making the time to share your thoughts, some thoughts with us tonight. Gosh, I know people would keep you on for hours, Mom Jackie, if you would let us. So maybe we'll do a part 2 and continue while we've got you here in town and stationary to do some more presentations. You can, folks, if you will watch the source that got you the invitation to this Zoom webinar. That same source will let you know about an impending Zoom opportunity meeting that we're coercing Mom Jackie into doing as well. So look for that. And I've got a couple save the dates for you as well. This coming Saturday, we have our monthly training throughout North America. It's called LifeVantage Academy. And in many metropolitan centers around the US and Canada, and now in Mexico, we have 29 elite speakers that are being flown around all these venues, and they're going to do 4 hours of intensive leadership and entrepreneurial training in network marketing. You're going to learn from the best of the best. Here in Kansas City, we have Executive Master Mark Shinsato coming. We're so excited to have Mark here, and I'm bummed I'm going to miss him. I will be down in Austin, Texas. So anybody down in San Antonio, Waco, Dallas, Amarillo, y'all come. We're going to have a hootenanny this coming Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. So put that on your calendars. For those of you that do not have a LifeVantage Academy within driving distance, here's the good news for you. We are shifting to providing a virtual training as well. I don't have the details. Presumably that is going to be on this Zoom platform. You can go to lifevantageacademy.com to see if that link has been uploaded. When I checked last week, it was not yet there. But those details will be available for you. So if you are in a market that does not have a LifeVantage Academy, go to lifevantageacademy.com, take advantage of the virtual training, and that's going to be available to you. Also, last announcement I have. We are undertaking a brand new promotion called the Pro 5 Hustle. Those of you that have been in LifeVantage for a couple months are familiar already with the Pacesetter program, helping a new distributor that reaches the rank of Pro 2 earn an additional $250. Is that right? $250? Right out of the gate, if you hit Pro 5, no, sorry, 100 for Pro 2, and then $250 for the first and second consecutive months that that new distributor hits and maintains the rank of Pro 3. And then that same person can earn an additional $22.50. Is that right? Yes, $22.50 on top of the $750 that they've just earned from the Pacesetter program. So it's a fast track program. It's a smart launch system that gets folks from zero to an additional $3,000 on top of all their other bonuses, their smart bonuses, etc. And that changes lives. Ask me how I know. When I began to understand the compensation plan, that it was designed to help guys, and I'm going to use this as a prop again, designed to help guys wearing these make real money, that changed everything for me. It wasn't just the efficacy of the product anymore. It was belief in a culture and a company and leadership that really cared about people, cared about me, and wanted me to succeed, and everybody around me and our support system, including Mom Jackie and our upline, wanted that same success. So all that to say, the Pacesetter program combined now with the Pro 5 Hustle is an incredible incentive to go fast, because that momentum creates escape velocity for people that want to change, that want a better way, and that are looking, not just walking with a limp, right? So their physical issues may be apparent, maybe or maybe not, but I can guarantee you most people that you know are not content with where they are, and they're looking for something. They're looking for something better. So the issue then becomes, how much, as Mom Jackie just said, how much compassion do we have for those people to just get out of our own way and share this amazing thing that we have? So Julie, with that, I'm going to kick it back over to you, sister, to close the call. Thank you so much for facilitating this forum. Thank you, Mom Jackie, for jumping on. I love you, and I'm so appreciative for you. And here's a disclaimer. Yes, Mom Jackie makes 2% on all my product orders, but she also makes 10% matching bonus on all of our royalty commissions. So there you go. Julie, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie. That was incredible. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. One little bit of advice is that you can do with the cyber hair launch that's on December 11th. We're having a Christmas party here, and so I would encourage all of you to do something like that and invite your friends to your home so they can experience what this hair care is like. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining us, and that's it for now. God bless you all. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Night, Julie. Thanks.